Welcome back. Today I wanted to do another book tag, even though, let's face it, I never actually get tagged in these things, and I basically am just doing this so I have an excuse to talk about books in general instead of feeling like I have to force a review or a writing thing or something like that. So I was just Googling book tags because, again, I just wanted to talk about books. Sue me. Anyways, and I found one that's called the Rapid Fire book tag. So basically, I'm supposed to just answer these questions, first thought that comes to mind kind of a thing. So I've tried not to prepare my thoughts, and let's jump right into it. So first question, ebooks or physical books? For me, it's physical books all the way. I have on occasion read ebooks and even bought ebooks, things like that, but there's just something about a physical book that will always have my heart. I've been a physical book reader since I was a wee little tot, and so there's just a magic to it, and turning the pages, hearing the sound of the pages turning, smelling the book, because I'm one of those readers, all of that makes it physical books wins hands down for me. Alright, next, paperback or hardback. On this, not as big a concern either way. I generally buy paperbacks just because they're cheaper, but I have nothing against paperback or hardback, and nothing really sways me other than, cost, if I'm the one buying it, or every once in a while the covers will be different based on the paperback or hardback, and so then I would do it based on the cover and not if it was paperback or hardback. But again, the actual style, I don't usually have that much preference with. Alright, online or in-store shopping for my books. Usually, lately it's been online, because that's just easier. But I still love the experience of going to a bookstore, and sometimes I'll just go to a bookstore to be in a bookstore and get that kind of experience of buying books. I also do the same thing with the library, actually, where I like to go and just check out the library's book sale. That's where I get a lot of my books, too. So, in-store is always preferable, but sometimes it's like I know this book is coming out, and I know I can pre-order it online, so I'll pre-order it online kind of a thing. Alright, next question. Trilogy or series? I would have to say, in the case of this, that it's entirely dependent on the story, and it just depends on how they want to break it up. I don't really have a preference of, it has to be 3 books, or it can be 10 books, or anything like that. More frustrating to me than either of these is when it's a really good standalone, and then they make a sequel, and you're like, that just completely ruined the story for me. So, in a lot of ways, actually, I just prefer a standalone to either of those things. But it depends on the story, and there are great stories that go trilogy and series and all that, too. So, it's not a make or break in any direction, except for the occasional one that should have just been a standalone and they threw a sequel onto it. I'm like, no, smack you! It was a horrible idea. But yeah, that's that. Alright, next question. Heroes or villains? This, again, kind of just depends on the situation. There are definitely books where I've really liked the heroes more than the villains, and there are books where I've liked the villains more than the heroes. Typically, it seems like villains can get some better characterization, simply because you get to keep some of the mystery to them, so you don't always entirely know what their motivations are, as compared to heroes. But other than small things like that, I don't necessarily have a preference. It's just based on the story and how it's written and all that fun stuff. So, not a super preference on my end there. Alright. And a book I want everyone to read. Ooh, great question. I would have to go, in this case, with my favorite novel that no one has ever heard of, that being Fire and Hemlock by Diana Wynne Jones. It's an older-ish book from like the 1980s, I think, but Diana Wynne Jones is one of my favorite authors, and when I found that book, it was like, this is the best book I've ever read, and she's pretty much my favorite author, and has written my favorite book, and yeah, I think I'd read a few of hers before I read that, but Fire and Hemlock by far and away my favorite. And it's so sad that no one's ever heard of it. It's such a fun book. It's got a double memory storyline type thing going on, and there's pseudo magic to it, and it's based in like English fairy tale and myth a little bit and stuff too, and it's just really great. I really love it, and that would by far and away be the one that I'd recommend to everyone, especially since no one ever seems to have heard of it. Alright, next one. Recommend an underrated author. Well, related back to my last comment, I'd go with Diana Wynne Jones. To some degree, she is fairly popular. Like, she wrote Howl's Moving Castle, which a lot of people know because of the Miyazaki movie adaptation, so maybe not the most underrated author, but still a lot of people don't seem to have heard of her, and she's written a ton of fantastic stuff. Her magic and her stories, and it's also clever and cute, and her voice is just beautiful. So, Diana Wynne Jones would be the one. The last book that I finished, the last book that I can remember finishing, because I tend to have a couple books on my plate at a time, would be The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. I was actually listening to it as a book on tape in my car, which is one of my favorite ways to get my weekly reading in, because with work and life and stuff, it's a little difficult sometimes, but books on tape save the day, because then you can have stories in your car. So yeah. So, apologies for the weird ending cutout type thing that just happened. I got a little busy and distracted and wasn't able to finish the tag like I wanted to. Since I don't have the questions with me, I still can't finish it, but I do have a little bit of a reward for you. I just went to the library, so I can do a little bit of a library book haul, which hopefully will make up for the fact that this tag didn't end quite the way I wanted it to. So, one second. First off, we have a book on tape that I got. Woo! I don't know if you can read that very well, but it's called A Long Way Gone, Memoirs of a Boy Soldier. I love books on tape, so that's what this is for me driving in the car and listening to stuff. It's a true story, I believe, and it sounded interesting, so that's why I went with that one. But then, like we were just briefly talking about a minute ago when I was doing the tag, I love going to library book sales, so I took the opportunity to do that while I was on this trip to the library, and I've got something to finish off things with some books that I got from the book sale. I got a whole whopping 2, but you do what you can. When books are on sale for Halloween for 25 cents and you're like, oh, this sounds decent, you just go for it. So, it was only 50 cents. It's so exciting. Okay, so, books now. First off, we have this book here. So, this is Before You Leap, A Frog's Eye View of Life's Greatest Lessons by Kermit the Frog, of all the fun things. It looked like it'd be pretty cute. I'm kind of curious to see how it works. I flipped through to get a couple snippets to make sure it was like writing style and stuff that I was interested in, because nonfiction can be quite hit or miss. And it looks like it's going to be pretty funny, so I'm very excited for that one. And then also, I got one more. That is this one here. Nom de plume, which, if you don't know what a nom de plume is, it's another word, French, I believe, for a pseudonym, or in cases like, I'm pretty sure Mark Twain had a pseudonym. There are several, like, Victorian era women authors, like, I forget who, but that used, like, men's pseudonyms so that they could get published, things like that. And so this book was supposed to be a history about some of the uses of pseudonyms and things like that, and their impact on the person's writing and all that. And so I was like, okay, sounds good to me. I like a good nonfiction history lesson thing. So, plus, I mean, since I like writing, it seemed like a fun thing to be like, okay, what is the benefit of a pseudonym for these people, and what are the different reasonings throughout history that they were used, and that kind of a thing. So anyways, hopefully my little book haul here helps make up for the fact that it's like a half-finished book tag thing. And yeah, I will see you guys all in the next video. This is the Umlaut Harper signing out.